What's up, Cradle fans, information requested fans? This is Bamf. I am here with you for another solo cast. It's coming at you on a Sunday instead of the promised Friday because I recorded a just exquisite, beautiful monologue rant about the topics I'm going to cover today. And when I went into Premiere Pro I don't really edit these, I just like check on things, make sure that the audio is fine, etc., etc. I realized that the audio wasn't working, and that sucked. So I also waited too late into the day on Friday. So like once once I realized that I had nothing to share with you other than like my face, just like making face movements for 35 minutes, the world kind of defeated me in that moment. I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. And then on Saturday, I was basically playing poker and watching this poker scandal that's been going on for the past 3 days. It's taken the poker world by storm. A bunch of my non-poker friends have hit me up asking me about it because it has made waves all over the internet. So if you haven't heard, there's a big poker scandal going on. As a poker fan, I was enraptured by this poker scandal because it's might not be a poker scandal, but it's wild. It involves hundreds of thousands of dollars around one hand. And that's all I'm going to go into. But let's just say I was enraptured by it. But I digress. Today we are going to cover a couple things. This won't be the longest solo cast in the world, but I didn't think that it was going to be a 35-minute solo cast last time, and it ended up being that long. So we'll have to see how this goes. But the basic general gist of what the basic general gist of what I'm going to be talking about today is one, give you an update on what's going on with me. I mean, just because like that's what I'm going to do every week. I'm going to talk about the return of Remix because that's happening. Yay. Um, what I'm reading lately, that's probably going to be the biggest segment. And then moving on to other nerd stuff, which will primarily just be like an update on my own writing in the book that I'm writing, as well as some like tips and tricks that I've used to get myself back into writing, as well as the tool that I've been using because it's kind of cool and I don't think many people know about it. Then final closing things out, talk about Waybound and how I want to know what plot points y'all want wrapped up in the final book. So that's what's going to happen. It's not even 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So if my energy levels are a little bit low, then that's why. And I can tell by like sending my thoughts into the future that y'all are going to forgive me for this. And I'm just tickled. I'm just tickled by your love and support. Jokes aside, y'all have been super supportive of me lately. And that is why I am excited about making content again. I kind of lost my excitement. And then I made a video out of sheer obligation. And y'all's like overwhelming support made me feel good inside and made me want to make another video, which I did. And the love and support continued. So making videos is or content creation in general is something I'm starting to get excited about again, which is good because the Cradle series is ending. So I need to be excited about making content if I'm going to keep the content creation going beyond the scope of the Cradle series. Obviously, I'll be talking about Plasma Bolts when Plasma Bolts comes out, but I do want to talk about other series. It's just the problem is most of the fantasy fiction these days, and let me make that more specific. Most of the progression fantasy or lit RPG fantasy that's out there isn't written like Cradle is. So finding the little hints that you can forecast into the future as theories is going to be a lot harder. Plus the general like passion for reading or rereading It really depends on the reread value of the books. So a lot of these chapter by chapter series, while I enjoy them, they're hard for me to go back and reread because they're not written for rereadability, really, at least in my opinion. Anyway, I'm getting into some content that I'm going to get into later. So I'm going to stop that. But welcome back to the Information Requested podcast. I am your host Bamfius and my co-host Remixed. If you aren't aware, he moved to Germany to uh I don't know, pursue an opportunity there. And from what I understand, that opportunity has been pursued, has been captured, and he's now bringing the fruits of his labor back stateside. And he'll be moving somewhere in the mountain time zone, which is 1 hour earlier than me, in about a month, almost exactly a month. So we'll have Remix back, which is great because I know that y'all like when I talk at you for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. But I got to tell you, it's nice when I have someone else to share the load, so to speak. So Remix will be returning. Very happy about that. Excited about that. Excited to hear all the things that he's read. And don't get me wrong, I've been talking to him, but it's just like over chat on Discord that we haven't had a lot of opportunity to have a long form conversation. So I don't know what he's been reading. So I'm excited to hear about that and get his takes on certain things, uh, certain books that have come out that you've read, I've read, he has read, but we haven't talked about yet. So now let's get into what I have been reading lately. And as I teased, like I need to share. I forgot to share. All right, we're going to share my screen. I understand. Share a window. There we go. All right, I'm sharing now. You can't see it yet because I'm not showing it to you, but I have been reading the series Beginning After the End. Why have I been reading this series? I've been reading this series. I don't like that. Hold on, let me make myself look. Maybe there. Yeah, I like that better. All right. I For those of you who can't see me, I moved myself to a different spot on screen. Oh, that's not bad. That's too small. All right, I like this. So, the beginning after the end. Y'all recommended this to me. Remix did. A bunch of my a bunch of the commenters for recent videos have. A friend of mine who's in the poker community as well as the fantasy fiction reading community told me I should read it. And then a former coworker who follows my YouTube channel told me he read it, and I respect him a lot. So I finally decided to give it a go. And I am currently on book 6. So there are 9 books published so far, and I'm on book 6. Actually, I'm on book 7. I finished book 6 and I've barely started book 7. So, yeah, it's good. It's not on Kindle Unlimited, which was kind of annoying. And the first book, like, I don't know, like the like hard copy is like being marketed more heavily by Amazon, so it's kind of hard to get to the Kindle version. But the nice thing is Travis Baldree is the audiobook narrator. And so what I've been doing is I've been buying the book on Kindle, and then when it asks me if I also want to buy the audiobook for a reduced price because I have Audible Premium Plus or whatever, I can buy the book for a discounted rate, which means I can get both the Kindle book and the audiobook for like $10 to $12, which is good. I like that because the way that I read books is I this isn't the way I always read books, but if I have the option to do so, I'll do it this way, where I'll open Kindle and I will have like you can I don't know if you can tell, but like I have the text on my phone, but then I turn on the audio version. So I'm gonna play this for a second. Uh well, actually, I don't want to do spoilers, but basically, if I push this play button, I'll hear the sultry tones of Travis Baldree, but also gray, like it'll like highlight the text that he's reading, and like I can read along, and it will like just permanently scroll while I'm listening to the audiobook. So I can do both at the same time. But what's cool about this is I can also just listen to the audio like while I'm going for a walk. So I have been working on getting in shape. Like I'm relatively fit, but I'm working on getting like really in shape. And going for walks is like a really easy way to like wake my brain up to exercise. So what I do is I'll listen to an audiobook, go for a walk, come back to my house, and then work out in my home gym in my garage. I don't know why I'm telling y'all this, but it's just an interesting thing because this character in this book is always training because it's like progression fantasy. And so like I find it kind of amusing or cathartic to listen to this person training while I'm trying to train, and I don't know, there's like some I've always thought it was interesting how in progression fantasy the characters work so hard, but then the people who consume progression fantasy are just like voyeuristically enjoying someone like becoming a badass. Well, what if I want to become a badass? So I don't know. I like that this book series, there's so many of them that are on Amazon with an Audible companion, and it's nice that the Audible narrator is Travis so that I can get the best of both worlds of when I'm like chilling on the couch or laying in bed before I go to sleep, I can read how I normally read on my phone with the audio to go along with me so my pacing is consistent. But I can also listen to the audiobook while I'm working out. That's cool. Uh, and some of the other series that I've been reading lately don't have that. They just don't have that. So I don't know. As for the series itself, it starts off pretty cool. I'll give a like prologue, book one, first paragraph type spoilers. But if essentially this series has like an isekai component where the main character dies on like a futuristic Earth where people can enhance their physical capabilities with their internal key, but they can't like cast spells or like do magic. It's all like internal. It's basically like if a sacred artist could only enhance their body and not like use Madra outside of their body. Uh, so he dies on this one world and is reincarnated as a baby in a world where there's ambient mana. So there are mages. People can cast spells. But there's also mages that focus on enhancing their bodies. So there's like an overlap of the magic on this world and the I guess martial arts of his previous world. And so he's born as a baby and he's able, I don't know, basically he becomes a prodigy because he was like a master swordsman, master key practitioner, master fighter on his old world, and he's born into this new world and everyone's just like how is he able to do this? This is crazy. So there's a lot of that like power fantasy type stuff. The main character, I don't know, he's okay. He's not that interesting. But the magic is okay. The progression is fun. The world is okay. I don't know, it's just an enjoyable read. The monsters are actually kind of fun. I like the monsters. I like the bad guys are pretty good. I like the bad guys. They're compelling. More almost more so than the main character, honestly. But I don't know, like I kind of plateaued at book 6, but then as I was finishing book 6, some cool stuff happened that made me like care again. So just know if you're reading this and you plateau like around book 5 or 6, I think it gets better. I feel like it's getting better. But books like 1 through 4 are very enjoyable. So I won't say this is a super strong recommend, but a lot of you have super strongly recommended this to me. So if you're looking for something to read, there's a lot of content here. If you want to find this page, there's going to be a link in the video to the information requested bookshelf, which is on Padlet. I've shown this before. It's got links to all the series that Remix and I have talked about thus far. And I have kind of restructured some of these to showcase the how much I've been enjoying reading them. I think Randedly Ghost Town should get knocked down a bit, but regardless, these aren't listed in order of like my favorite, but have been listed in order of what I've been what I've been excited to read lately, which is why Randedly Ghost Town kind of needs to drop down a little bit because I haven't been reading that at all. Weird. I'm gonna pop this up. Yeah, that's about right. So, what I've been reading, I lately, outside of reading the beginning after the end, have been I'm subbed to the Patreon for Sarah Lynn, Zogarth, the First Defiler or JF Brink, and then Shirtaloon for He Who Fights with Monsters, which is kind of fun because if you're all, I don't know, it's like $20 for all four ish, but I've enjoyed this because every day I get 3 chapters for these 3 books. And then on the weekends I get 2 chapters for the upcoming Werribee Chronicles book. That's kind of cool because like every day I have something to read except for Sunday, where now I'm making a video about it. There's some nice overlap there. But I am completely caught up on Primal Hunter, 100% caught up on Defiance of the Fall, and He Who Fights with Monsters. I am not caught up with Randomly Ghost Hound. I'm not caught up with Beginning After the End, and oh, I don't know why I'm talking about those two, but like The Legend of Randomly Ghost Hound, I was all about that series for a while. And now that we're getting Endgame with that series, and I caught up to the chapters, it just hasn't been as exciting for me. Whereas Primal Hunter, Defiance of the Fall, both of these stories are kind of in similar. I guess Defiance of the Fall is further ahead in like the traditional system storyline, where like the system integrates Earth into the multiverse. The main character has a series of fortunate events that end up making him super powerful, and then he ends up like fighting to become stronger so that he can lead the world to safety, whatever. Uh, both really enjoyable, very similar in a sense. Um, anyway, I feel like y'all have already read these, but I keep up with all of these every day. So if you ever want to like chat about any of these 3, hit me up because I'm more than willing. Beginning After the End, I'll be down to talk about later, but I don't know. Like the power creep of Beginning After the End is somewhat concerning, but the bad guys are like really strong too. But just compared to the rest of the world, it's kind of like I don't know. Like I need a multiversal component to know that there's like a long way to go, or to know like where we're headed. Because like I don't know what the top tier power structure is for Beginning After the End. The author did the thing that Will White recommends, where in like the first book you showcase a top tier level of power so you can kind of see where we're headed, but we don't know like where that top tier of power like stands. I don't know. Anyway, I'm like really looking forward to the point where the character in Beginning After the End gets strong enough that we then get an unveiling of like what's next. Because like I see where we're going, but it feels like we're almost there in book 7, and there's 9 books, but I think there's more after the 9, but I could be just completely wrong. But that's what I'm hoping to see, just because I like that. I like that so much, where the main character becomes too strong for his own world and then goes out and explores the greater multiverse. The like most intense version of this that I've seen is a Chinese web novel. It's oh my god, am I forgetting? I can't be forgetting. Desolate Era. Oh my goodness. Desolate Era does that to like I don't even know how to describe it. It's basically like the main character gets isekai'd, Then he gets too strong for his like I don't know, like his province. Then he gets too strong for like the school that he goes to. Then he gets too strong and like for the world is crazy. Then he gets too strong for I don't know, like the next generation. And then he leaves the world and gets training, and then he gets too strong for like the world that he came from. Eventually he gets too strong for the three realms, which is like we thought was the multiverse, but we find out that it's not. There's like this greater superverse of within the primordial chaos. And then he gets too strong for like the sector. And basically it just keeps going and going and going. Every time he gets stronger and stronger, we learn more about like the superverse. And anyway, Desolate Era. If you like Primal Hunter, Defiance of the Fall, He Who Fights with Monsters, Randomly Ghost Hound, like any books like that, oh my goodness. Get you some Desolate Era. You will not be I don't know, you won't be upset with me. I promise you that cuz it's like 65 books and I just like binged them over the course of like 2 or 3 months. Strong recommend there. I don't think I can have Desolate Era on here. Otherwise I would. But anyway, that's what I've been reading and I've been enjoying myself. Primal Hunter's in a good spot. Defiance of the Fall is in a good spot. He Who Fights with Monsters is finally in another good spot. There's this weird area of He Who Fights with Monsters where the main character was like out of commission, and the plot made it to where he needed to be out of commission for a while, but it was just a pain in the ass to like read through those chapters like a day at a time when it felt like nothing was happening. But we're finally in a spot where a lot of cool stuff is happening. So, He Who Fights with Monsters, y'all. And then Sarah Lynn's Werke Chronicles. Currently, there are 5 books that are published, and I think what chapters were recently put on the Patreon. I was just starting to read them. They are chapters 15 and 16. So, like the first half of book 6 is on Patreon right now. But I like this series a lot. It's slower than Cradle, but the scope is similar to Cradle. And Sarah Lynn does a really good job of showing us how much further the main character needs to go. There are the 9 realms in the Werke Chronicles, and a Werke is basically like it's like a teleportation key that you can't use until you're a certain level of strength. I would equate it to being like the Underlord level. So until you get to Underlord, you can't like warp around the world or the worlds. And each of these worlds is like very distinct, has its own people, its own cultures, its own like setting. Like we recently in this book, there was a planet that's like all insects, but like I don't it's wild. I like it a lot. The characters are kind of like sort of boring for a while, but they start to grow on you over time. And there's like a weird isekai component, but it's like not a normal one in that like what you know from Earth won't help you if you get isekai'd unless you've already I don't know, like the main character, he I won't like ruin it, but it's like a multiple isekai situation. Anyway, I like it. I like it. The one drawback is that most of the audiobooks haven't been done yet. Like just the first 2 books have been done on audiobook and the rest haven't. And I feel like that's kind of it's unfortunate because they're good. And Travis did the first 2, I think. Let's look. Who did it? Travis? Yeah, Travis did. Did he do the second one too? I hope he did. And he's busy as hell. He's like going on a book tour for his first book. He just finished the first draft of his second book, and he's a busy guy to the point where like the most recent completion is, oh wow, that link's dead. That's good to know. Completionist Chronicles. That is not the wow. Has that come out yet? Implode. I'm learning so much. All right, so the Completionist Chronicles has a new link and new covers. Raise, Ruthless, Inflame, Invent. So I've started reading Invent, and it kind of like confused me. Okay, so Implode comes out on October 5th in 3 days. That's kind of cool. I also think it's funny how the book started with R. Ritualist, Regicide, Rexus, Raise, Ruthless. I think Rexus is actually like yeah, it's a side quest. Oh wait, it actually is called book 3. Wow, they added it to the actual book counter. That's okay. Interesting. So we've got Ritualist, Regicide, Rexus, Raise, Ruthless, and then he's like, I'm out of R words. Let's switch to I. Inflame, Invent, Implode. I don't know. Like this series was super good until I don't know, kind of until Inflame, honestly. And I've struggled with Invent. I bought the book early. I think I've talked about this before. I bought the book early, and the app that was used like didn't merge the book and the audio. So like I had to switch back and forth depending on what I was doing. It was just the worst user experience, and it kind of killed my progress on this series. But what I'm though my point is because of how busy Travis Baldree is, this like this series had its like own deadline, and so they switched to Luke Daniels, and Luke Daniels is chill. He's great at his job, but like the continuity of narrators is somewhat important. But because of how busy Travis is, we just didn't we don't he can't do as many books. So that is why the audiobook release of the Werky Chronicles has been somewhat slow, which is sad because this series is good. It's like honestly, I like this series better than Beginning After the End. If I'm being completely honest, I like it better. It's slower, but the magic system is way cooler. Like you can actually like understand it. I think I had made a whole video about this, but like you build a structure within your soul that allows you to do magic, like cool magic. And oh, actually, in the sixth book, it's called Bloodcrete. You learn some like super important stuff about the magic system and like how to like not have your progress stalled. Like how to make your foundations really good so that you can keep going. Yeah, that bomb was dropped last weekend about that. Pretty cool. Pretty exciting. Strong recommend on the Werky Chronicles. It's progression fantasy, but Sarah Lynn she has this plan to where like read it like starting this series on when Just Soul Home came out would have not been great because you would have wanted to know more, but like I don't know, I feel like starting now might be worth it, or maybe waiting till book 6 because the series is way cooler when you can keep going and then get the answers that you're looking for that give you the hope that the rest of the series will be awesome. So like there's a couple parts of this series where it's a little bit slow and the progress is a little bit slower than you expect it should be. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Strong recommend. Good series. Almost enough books have been published in the series to where you can read enough of it and be happy knowing the rest of the series will be good. We've gotten to that point, in my opinion, but I'm halfway through book 6 via the Patreon. So that's why I have that strong opinion on the matter. So that's what I've been reading lately. You can find this link in the description below. Coming to this link, clicking on these are all affiliate links for Amazon, by the way. This plus the fact that it's finally monetized, this channel is finally monetized by Google, is how you can support the channel. Straight up. You want to get a book, you come to this link, you click on one of these, you buy a book, I get like 3 cents. I get like 3 cents, and when it adds up to like 15 bucks, then Amazon's like, "Here you go. Here's 15 bucks." That happens like once or twice a year. So just know you're contributing in the smallest way possible by clicking on these links. I appreciate you. Whatever. Moving on. Oh, that's funny. All right, what's next? I'm gonna make my face big again. There we go. All right. Now we're gonna talk about other nerd stuff and update on my book. So I have entered a competitive pact with a friend of mine, one of my friends that goes to Dragon Con every year. At this most recent Dragon Con, he called me out and was like, "Look," oh, he was also intoxicated, but that's Dragon Con. He called me out and he's like, "I bet you I could write a book faster than you can." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you've been writing your book for a long time. I bet you I could finish a rough draft faster than you." And I was like, bet." He's like, "All right, I'll bet." So then he went and wrote a prologue, and I meet up with this guy and my other friend that goes to Dragon Con every week. We have a weekly mastermind where we talk about our goals and stuff, and it's kind of like a way for us to catch up every week. But he wrote the prologue, and so he's like, "Well, I'm gonna write another chapter this week. Are you gonna write a chapter this week?" And I was like, "Damn it, yes." Because I need to stay like 7 chapters. I've written like 7 or 8 chapters in my book. I need to stay like 7 chapters ahead of him. Otherwise, he's gonna catch up, and if he maintains the momentum, I'm screwed. And so I think that's funny. So I'm sharing this update with you because the likelihood that my first draft gets finished quickly or more quickly than it would have otherwise is like 100% now. It's 100%. And so this made me think like, all right, well, what other stuff can I talk about with this? Because I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Might change. Uh, but my face is getting small again. There's this tool called Noveler, and let me kind of want to log out so you can see the main cover. But basically, it's a writing app. I have it in dark mode right now, but you can click on like I don't know. Let's see. Let's create a novel. All right. So new project by me. YouTube. YouTube podcast. Add a synopsis. Noveler is dope. You should try it when the free option comes. Yeah, it's not free right now, but you can trial it for 2 weeks for free. Let me get this like thing out of the way. You can trial it for 2 weeks. In fact, I'm gonna put my face right there, so this could be a little bit bigger. Meow. So chapters. Chapter 1. Start here. I don't want to do a synopsis, but anyway, you can see start here just became a thing. You can create multiple chapters, but you can also create like chapters within a chapter. So if say you wanted to have this be like on Scrivener, you wanted to have this be like your chapter container. Like this is where all the cool stuff happens. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry. You should probably go to the YouTube channel. This is probably a terrible thing to have on a podcast, but I'm showing the tool Noveler, Novlr, and you can see it has like I don't even think I have Grammarly installed. I must have Grammarly installed. That's not Gram. Anyway, Grammarly works really well in this tool. If you look up at the top, I can see how many words I've written this session. I can see that it's the last time it was auto saved, which was a minute ago, which was when I was still writing. Um, you can go into like this mode. You can add comments about what you're writing. What does this button do? Whoa, I just went full screen. I don't think you could tell that. I'm gonna have to watch this video back to see what happens when I went full screen. But you can go full screen, which is kind of fun. Um, and then like down at the bottom, you can like alternate the appearance. Oh, that's bright. I should have warned y'all. Sorry for those of you who are watching this at night and your eyes just like got burned out of your face. But the dark mode is cool. You can adjust like all sorts of stuff. Like, I don't know. It's cool. I'm currently in the beta version of this tool, but it's been out for like 6 years. You can go there to their site right now and use their current version, which has all these features. It's just the UI is a little bit different, and the UI is still good. But the free version isn't out yet, so I would wait on that. I paid for a lifetime version like 6 or 7 years ago, and so I haven't had to pay ever since. The free version, as far as I know, will allow you to basically have one novel that you can work on. So you'll get all the functionality, but it's cool because it has like analytics and can tell you like today I've written 8 words. This month I've written 8 words because it's October 2nd. And this year I've written 4,000 words within this tool. I recently switched back to this tool because of some of the feature updates that they made. When I share my novel, like chapter by chapter with my friends, I use this productivity tool called Notion. It combines a bunch of other productivity tools into one. Anyway, Notion's cool because you can like share out a link just to the chapter and have like other links where they can see other chapters, but they can't like see what's coming. Anyway, Notion is cool, and I was writing in Notion for a long time, but I didn't have a lot of the analytics tools that I like that help me build habits. So Noveler has all of the things. And this is something y'all probably don't know about me, actually. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I'm actually going to go full screen for this. Back in like 2015, 2016, maybe, I was obsessed with creating what I was like on an entrepreneurial bent, and I was obsessed with creating an integrated writing environment. So I work in software. I don't write software. I'm not a software engineer. I'm an agile coach. I help software engineers and the teams function better as a team and get more done. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But software developers have something called an IDE, or an integrated development environment, where they can like code, test their code, deploy their code, all this stuff, all from it within like one environment. I wanted that for writing. And so I did a lot of research on all the writing tools out there, including Scrivener, because that's kind of like the top tier. There were a lot of other tools that had better UIs, but didn't have all the functionality of Scrivener. But there was no tool out there that you could basically plot or organize, plot, plan, write, edit, and then publish within one tool. This tool is about as close as I can find on a web app. So you can use it the same. You just go to the browser, and the browser's cool. So you could use it on iPad, iPhone, or what desktop. And it auto saves in all locations. So like on Scrivener, it was a pain in the ass to move from multiple devices because you'd have to like export your Scrivener file, then import your Scrivener file on a different computer, and like keep doing that. And it was a pain in the butt. Anyway, no excuse for not writing, but this tool does all the things that I had a pain point on. Plus, it has analytics and all sorts of other stuff. You can create goals. Like I think I have set up for like my daily writing goal is 500 words a day, 2,500 words. I need to update this. That's way too low. 2,500 words a month. Again, it says 0 because it's October 2nd. And anyway, the month just started. So that is something I wanted to share because I thought it was interesting. It's something I've been playing around with. And I'm assuming a lot of you at least a few of you readers out there want to become writers. Noveler is cool. Strongly recommend you wait until the like permanently free version comes out. Because I'm not a really big fan of pushing things that don't have free versions, other than the books, because they're books. You should support your authors. All right. Anyway, moving on. Moving on to Waybound Things. I'm not going to talk about theories here because this my next Waybound video is going to be what I want, what I hope to see in the epilogue, right? When I went to Dragon Con, this most recent Dragon Con, when Will was talking about Waybound, he said some interesting things. The main thing that he said that was interesting was that he's looking to not just finish the book and make the book good. Like Waybound is going to be its own book, self-contained, and he's gonna close out that book strong. But he also wants this book to close out the series strong, which means that there's going to be a somewhat large epilogue. His like public sayings on this have sort of changed over time. Originally, he was like, the epilogue's going to be so big, it's going to have everything in it. Recently, he's said stuff more along the lines of, not every plot point can be closed, not everyone's secret favorite whatever can be done, but I want to do my best to close out most of them. We know that he's in a very early stage of drafting this book because he was very clear about that when he read the excerpt from Waybound. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I have this platform that, in my opinion, kind of cuts through a lot of the noise of the community and acts as more of a signal. Like if you go on Reddit, you can find some good stuff. However, there's so much noise in the Willverse and on the Reddit iteration 110. So much noise, not enough signal. The Discord, arguably even worse. So much noise, almost no signal. But I have this YouTube channel that is pretty heavily focused on Cradle right now. And I know that Sam watches these. And I know that Rebecca used to. So I'm hoping that if we make a video focused around, and I say we because a lot of this content should come from y'all. If we make a video focused around the little side quest, side character things that we want to see like closed out or addressed, or like we see what ends up happening with them. If we make a comprehensive video about what we want to see and why, that might help influence a couple additional scenes that may happen in the book. I don't know. I'm making the video regardless of whether or not it works. So I need your help. Please go back through the books, or if you already have a list of this for some reason, send it to me via the comments about what plot points you want to see closed out. What characters do you want to see referenced? For example, I want to know what happens with Fisher Gesha and the Fisher clan that she brought with her to Black Flame City. I want to know if she hits Underlady. I want to know if her Fisher clan becomes like a well-known soulsmithing clan within the Black Flame Empire or within the Twin Stars sect or whatever. I want to know. Maybe Fisher Gesha becomes like a paragon of her clan, and no one afterwards ever achieves the level of, I don't know, notoriety that she does. And I'm honestly okay with that, but I just want to know. I want to know. I want to know what happened. I want I want to know if I want to know about the Dread War. I want to know if the Dread War was the reason why all the Dread Gods came to the Ashwind continent and just tore up the Black Flame Empire. I want to know if that was why. Pretty sure it is, but the timing's weird. Timing's weird. I think that would be cool to know. What else? What else do y'all want to know? I want to know more about the origins of Sacred Valley. I want to know about why Lee Marketh was so pissy. I feel like that's something we should find out. Like we found out about it in the first book. We've speculated, like Lee Marketh is talking about how he wants 2 lives today. He's probably going after Whisper, but Whisper was like extremely underwhelming as a character. So full of mystery in book 1, so completely useless later on. Huge disappointment, Elder Whisper. You suck. I thought you were awesome. Anyway, I want to know about the clans. Like the original patriarchs, what happened there that pissed off Lee Marketh? I want to know that stuff. That would be something that closing it out in book 12 makes a lot of sense whenever it was opened in book 1. And even though Bloodline happened and Sacred Valley basically got like plastered into the ground, the super ancient tower that Elder Whispers was in that we never understood the purpose of got like chopped in half. Will basically like burn all this lore to the ground. But I kind of still want to know. And I think that would be an awesome thing, personally. So these are the kind of plot points I'm talking about. What do you want to know about Cradle that could potentially be talked about in book 12 or closed out before the series closes? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Please and thank you. All right, so that wraps up kind of what I'm talking about. I talked about the return of Remixt. I talked a lot about what I'm reading lately. I talked to you about the information requested bookshelf on Padlet and how you can support the pod, support the channel by donating a small portion of your proceeds to me instead of to Amazon. Love that. Talked about other nerd stuff. Showed you Noveler a little bit. Good old Noveler. Love Noveler. Another little plug for Noveler. They do not have an affiliate program, so I am not an affiliate of them. I'm not I'm technically referring them, but I get no kickback. I just think that they're a cool tool. They're the best I've seen out there other than Scrivener, and I just have a personal little seed of grudge in my soul around Scrivener, and so I like Noveler. That's that. And then I talked about the Waybound stuff, which I just talked about, so you already know. You remember. My last video was 35 minutes. This video is now 47 minutes, closing in on 48. And so you waited 2 days and you got an extra 12 minutes. You are welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for showing me love and reigniting my passion for making this content. And I don't know, just thank you for being you. Thanks for reading. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. And that's all the thanks I can think of. So I'm leaving now. So long. Goodbye. End recording.